Great Caesar's Ghost. It's Wednesday. We're going to get into the Roman Civil War. Not the one with Iron Man and Captain America duking it out. Nope, the one with Roman generals and Roman leaders hashing it out in a battle royale to the last Roman is standing. Woohoo! And we're going to analyze how the nephew of Julius Caesar, Octavian, will rise to become Augustus, Rome's first emperor. So, after Caesar is laid dead, a few of Caesar's allies, in particular, Mark Antony, who was Caesar's right-hand man, and Octavian, who was Caesar's nephew and his heir. Octavian had in fact changed his name to Octavian Caesar, so he was more closely identified with his uncle. And also, the general who was the commander of Caesar's cavalry forces and the second command in battlefield, Marcus Lepidus. These three dudes were like, whoa, you just killed like our golden ticket. We're not going to stand for that. And they basically try to paint it to the people of Rome that Cassius, Brutus, and the other conspirators killed Caesar because they wanted to take power for themselves. And when you, in high school, study the play Julius Caesar, you'll see a great scene in which Mark Antony makes a speech that convinces the Roman people that it was, that the Brutus and Cassius killed Caesar because they were dishonorable men, and gets the populace of Rome to turn against him. In the famous "Friends, Romans, and Countrymen" speech. Beautiful stuff. Shakespeare and Rome. It's a good time. Anyway, so the supporters of Caesar, the Caesarians, form a second triumvirate with Antony, Lepidus, and Octavian at the helm, three co-equal leaders, and they wage war against the forces of Cassius and Brutus. Things get very, 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 very bloody, very, very, very quick in Rome. As the war starts, Caesar is not the only person to meet an untimely death. They start seeking out anybody who in Rome was a political rival of Caesar's and would in turn be a political rival of their own, including the famed Cicero, the great political mind and philosopher, is murdered by under orders of Antony. Eventually, their armies meet Brutus and Cassius's forces in the Battle of Philippi in Macedonia, and they just crush their forces. Octavian, Lepidus, and Antony, when they worked together, were really strong, and Cassius and Brutus don't have a chance. Rather than being captured, Brutus and Cassius do what was considered in Roman culture, which is a bit opposite of what we believe in our culture, of the honorable death, and they kill themselves. They fall on their own swords. With all the conspirators out of the way and many of the other political rivals like Cicero out of the way, these three now own the Roman Empire. So they split it in three. Octavian is definitely going to be in the best position. He gets the West, and he gets Rome, which he's going to use to his advantage. Antony gets the eastern parts, and to kind of solidify the deal, he is married, he's betrothed. They arrange a marriage between Octavian and Octavian's sister and Antony. Octavian's sister, Octavia. Family's not very creative with names, just gotta say. Lepidus gets to go to Northern Africa. And you'd think, yay, they split the Roman Empire in three. They rule as three co-equal rulers. Pixies and fairies all fly in the air. Everything is great. No. War is going to continue for Rome. The second triumvirate is going to quickly start to fall apart. Lepidus gets pushed out by Octavian. He seizes control of northern Africa. And Lepidus gets forced into exile and becoming a priest. Antony, when he's living in the East, meets, reunites with Cleopatra, who he had known when she and Caesar were together, and now he falls madly gaga goo goo for her, and divorces Octavian's sister, which Octavian gets ticked about, and marries Cleopatra and forms an alliance with her. And this alliance between Antony and Cleopatra, which, poets and writers and playwrights have romanticized this as one of the great romances of all time, Antony and Cleopatra. There's operas about it. Shakespeare wrote one of the famous plays about it. There's been movies about it. He sees these two, this powerhouse couple, as a threat. And was probably right about that, because they definitely had sights on claiming the Roman Empire for themselves and wanted to rule over it as well. And Octavius starts really a propaganda war against Antony. Gets a hold of his will, starts talking about how Antony wants to give up parts of the Roman Empire to Cleopatra's family, and his own children with Cleopatra, and basically starts making a case to the people of Rome, which he can do easily since he controls Rome, that Antony has become an enemy of the state. And this becomes a real kind of clash of two very different minds. Mark Antony is this big, huge, muscular dude. He's a well-known warrior. He's like well-renowned on the battlefield as just being this brute military force. And Octavian is this skinny, kind of nerdy guy. But he's the strategist. He is really good at playing chess when Antony's really good at boxing. And you have this great mind against this great physical force kind of matching up against one another. And not shockingly, the mind wins. Octavian sends his right-hand man, a guy by the name of Marcus Agrippa, who, by the way, is just one of the cool military minds. When you study military history, Marcus Agrippa is like, woof. Antony had a whole problem with pirates attacking Roman... Octavian had a whole problem with pirates attacking Roman cities and settlements. But basically these pirates controlled the Roman navy, and he sends Agrippa in charge of it, and he builds a navy by making a man-made lake to practice on, and routes them, and then takes this navy that he built himself and sends it to fight Antony and Cleopatra, where he just destroys them at the Battle of Actium, outside of Greece. And Antony and Cleopatra's rise to power is ended very quickly, almost unceremoniously at Actium. They aren't captured. In fact, when they realize that they're going to lose, they do the real brave thing and run away. Run away! Back to England. England? Wow, I just did a 7th grade lesson on the Declaration of Independence. Doesn't show, huh? Back to Egypt. And when within the next year, when Octavian's forces start closing in on Egypt, the both of them kill themselves rather than being captured. Most famously, Cleopatra was captured And she was going to be sent back to Rome and paraded about, and as a triumph parade, basically as one of the treasures, and humiliated. And she arranged for, the story goes that she had arranged to have asps hidden in a fruit basket, Egyptian cobras that are very poisonous, and she let the snakes bite her rather than being humiliated and going back to Rome. So with Antony and Cleopatra out of the way, the only possible claim to the throne of Rome will be Cleopatra and Julius Caesar's son, Caesarion, Ptolemy, I believe the 17th or 18th. And he has a little guy killed as well. Well, he's like 16 or 17 at this time. But Octavian has him killed, and now there's no one. The Royal Rumble is over, and Octavian is the last man standing. Just to go full rock star, he changes his name. He's no longer Octavian Caesar, but now Augustus Caesar. Oh, July named after Julius Caesar. Augustus is named after who? Yeah. And he now becomes the sole leader of Rome's military and Rome's government. The Senate still exists, but basically they're a rubber stamp to whatever laws that Augustus wants. And now, as Augustus, which the name means majestic, he is now the first emperor of Rome. And his title of Caesar will now become the title of all the Roman emperors who will follow him for the next few hundred years. So that wraps up our lesson for today. Question 1, what is a civil war? And question 2, why was Rome no longer a republic after the end of the Roman Civil War? Thanks for watching. Have a marvelous day. And I hope you had wore some great hats for Hat Day. I will see you all tomorrow.